Hey YouTube, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. This is Matthew with the Counselors Guild, and today we'll be doing a book review on Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote for Chaos. So let's get into it. Let's see what this is about here. A little bit about the author first. Jordan Peterson's a Canadian clinical psychologist and professor of University of Toronto, where he recently resigned. I think there was something going on, and he was kind of against it. And I think he was. I don't know if it was a mutual agreement or not, but he received his PhD at McGill University in Canada from 1993 to 98. He was associate professor in psychology department at Harvard University. He has published 2 other books, Maps of Meaning, and then there's 12 Rules of Life, and then he just came out with another one called Beyond Order. Peterson does weekly podcasts, YouTube videos, and maintains an active social media presence. Jordan lives in Canada with his wife and has 2 adult children. Book characteristics. There is a generous foreword written by Dr. Norman Doidge. Doidge, I think that's how you say it. He wrote the book, The Brain That Changes Itself. I think I have that book somewhere. Hang on a second. Oh man, gotta reach up high. Yeah, this one. There's 409 pages. That includes the 12 rules. The rules stop at 354, and then there's a conclusion or a coda. There's acknowledgments, endnotes, and an index. As far as readability goes, I think anybody could read it. I'd say junior in high school, maybe even senior on up. I don't think it's not that it's written very, complex. It's just I think the concepts are really complex. I don't know how old you'd be to understand some of it. So it is very easy to read, though. It's nothing that's too daunting. So let's start at rule number 1. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. So each chapter, this is my first point, it gives the title is a simple advice. That's universal and generational. I'm sure you've heard, hey, sit up straight, walk straight. And the rest of the chapter, kind of goes into depth. So his chapter name is like the surface level, and then throughout the chapter he kind of goes deep into why standing up straight is important. Why is that important? Peterson's able to explain these very complex human phenomenon throughout the chapter. Peterson uses theories of evolution, neurochemistry, biology, psychology, biblical references, and philosophy to explain each. He shows that these are not mutually exclusive, but each are relevant and needed to explain why this advice works. Each is relevant in explaining why, explaining human behavior in general. In each slide, I'll give a little quote in the book that kind of wraps up what the rule is all about. So Jordan says that if you slump around with the same bearing that characterizes a defeated lobster, people will assign you a lower status, as will your brain. Then your brain will not produce as much serotonin. This will make you less happy and more anxious and sad and more likely to back down when you should stand up for yourself. So it's not just good for posture, it's good for your confidence and how you express yourself onto the world and how the world will perceive you. So very important. And that's what he does. He surface level goes in deep, and it goes really deep. I mean, I feel like I could probably do a video on each of his chapters. So, but I'm not. I hope this isn't a 2-hour video. But that's rule 1. Rule 2, treat yourself like someone responsible for helping. So again, simple advice, right? Take better care of yourself. Why is that important? He goes in the depth of it. And this is the chapter he brings up the chaos and order. And if you're interested in knowing more about that, chapter 2 is really where he gets deep into that. So order is explored territory. The structure provided by biology, the structure of society. Order is tribe, religion, hearth, home, and country. Okay. Chaos is ignorance itself. It's unexplored territory. It is the place you end up when things fall apart, when your dreams die, when your career collapses, or your marriage ends. And kind of the third part is consciousness, which mediates between the two. This is where the 12 rules comes in. This is what the 12 rules is trying to, I guess, manipulate or, I guess, change your consciousness. Because it's what we have, I guess, kind of control over. Order is kind of already set. We're familiar with it. We know it. But we live in a changing world. Things come to us, that unexplained things happen. We got to know how to deal with it. So these 12 rules help the consciousness deal with it and bring the unexplained, the unknown, the scary stuff to the known. So you know what it is, and it's more order, not so much chaos. So rule 2, back to rule 2, become resilient to the chaos, taking care of yourself, because no matter how you live, what you do, chaos is gonna peek its ugly face. But if the more you take care of yourself, the better you're able to not fend off the chaos, I guess kind of fend off, but be more resilient towards it, so you can get through it, and it won't win, kind of thing. It'll help you to overcome that chaos. Quote: "You deserve some respect," Jordan says. "You are important to other people as much as you to yourself. You have some vital role to play in the unfolding destiny of the world." And it's kind of dramatic. I don't know, not dramatic. I don't know, overly dramatic, but it sounds cool. "You are therefore morally obliged to take care of yourself. You should take care of, help, and be good to yourself the same way you would take care of, help, and be good to someone you love and value." Okay, so simple advice, but really goes in deep on why it's important. Okay, what it's there for. Okay, so treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping. Rule 3. I'm sorry. Make friends with people who want the best for you. Okay? Basically, find others that elevate, believe, and challenge you. Friendship is reciprocal arrangement. Okay? If you're doing all the work in a friendship and you're making the effort to spend time or connect, it's probably not not a two-way street. So you want to find friends that they're the two-way street. They make the effort, they make the time. They want what's best for you. They don't try to tear you down. So try to weed out those people and just find people, friends that will help build you up. Okay. Jordan says here, if you surround yourself with people who support your upward aim, they will not tolerate your cynicism and destructiveness. They will instead encourage you when you do good for yourself and others, and punish you carefully when you do not. This will help bolster your resolve to do what you should do in the most appropriate and careful manner. So maybe having a good friend will help in your bringing that order to chaos kind of thing. You're not getting beaten down by the chaos. A good friend's going to help you get through that. Excuse me. Okay, rule 3. So rule 4, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to someone else, not who someone else is today. Okay, and that's good advice. I think that's something we need to remember when we're looking at Facebook and we're seeing, friends posting, adventures and parties and things they're doing with their lives, and it's like, man, they live so exciting lives. I'm so boring. I wish I could be like them. And you got to remember that they're only posting the good stuff online. You probably aren't seeing a lot of the bad, or you don't know what their bank account looks like, or you don't know any of that. So you should really just compare yourself to who you were, not to other people. Some things you can ask yourself. My first point: how have you grown as a person? What could I do or would do today? Accomplish that. And what small thing would I like as a reward? Take small steps. Okay. Third point: what you aim at determines what you see. That's from the book. So again, it's kind of like taking long-term goals. And I think this is another rule too, where if you don't set goals for yourself that aren't related to your values, and not taking small steps to get to that goal. You're not constantly getting better. You're gonna feel lousy. You're gonna start envying other people, maybe resenting them. So, rule 4 I think is important. As far as building yourself, being who you want to be, getting to where you want to be. Without an aim, goal, vision, we remain stagnant. Thus, we must become conscious of our desires and articulate them, and prioritize them, and arrange them in hierarchies. Okay, your friend got a grad degree, and you're still working part time somewhere, and you're like, man, I wish I could be like that. Gosh, why is life so hard? Life doesn't favor me. You can get there. You just have to focus your aim. What I need, what's step 1, what's step 2, when do I want to get there by? It's like you can do it if you just stop focusing on what other people are doing and just focus on where you want to go and what you want to do. Jordan says here, concentrate on the day so that you can live in the present and attend completely and properly to watch it right in front of you. But do that only after you've decided to let what is within shine forth, so that it will justify being and illuminate the world. So compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Okay, I do that. When I think about growing as a professional, I always think about what can I do today to where I'm better than I was yesterday. Is there a book I can read? Is there something I can do? That's why I like doing these YouTube videos, because it kind of motivates me to read more. So it's helping me grow, but also it's helping me put videos online. So a little bit of a little hobby that I started. So compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to someone else today. Very good rule. I mean, that's good advice. Rule number 5: do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Not every rule is for everyone. But everyone can benefit from at least one rule. So I put that in there so some people might read this and they don't have kids, or they don't ever want kids. So something you can skip over. So let's see. How will the world tolerate them? So if they're doing something you don't dislike, as a parent, you're usually a little bit, more understanding. The world's not going to treat them that well. If they're doing something you don't like, the world's going to come down on them. And as a parent, you got to raise them for the world to like them. They're going to have a hard time. They're going to have a hard time making friends, finding jobs, just being successful. So whenever they do something that you dislike, like maybe telling a lie to get out of trouble, you want to make sure that they're not going to do that again, and you want to make sure they know why it's important not to lie, because it's I think that's rule 6 or 8. I can't remember, but as a parent, you gotta make sure you mold your child in somebody that the world accepts. So parent as proxy for the world. If you don't teach them, the world will, and it will be much harsher. Social impact and clear rules from Jordan. Clear rules make for secure children and calm, rational parents. Clear principles and discipline and punishment balance mercy and justice, so that social development and psychological maturity can be optimally promoted. All right. Set rules. Yeah, set rules. The world has a lot of rules. If the kids don't understand rules, boy, they're gonna be in trouble. Especially when they get into school. Look really bad when they get out in the real world and they don't like rules and they don't follow them. All right. Rule 6: set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. Clean your room. I think I heard Jordan say that, or somebody was talking about Jordan Peterson and said that, and it's kind of, synonymous with him. But why is that important? Why is it important to clean your room? Again, Jordan will go into depth on why that's important and how that affects you and how it ultimately affects the world. Focus on yourself and let the good bleed out into the world. Don't blame capitalism, the radical left, or the inequity of your enemies Don't reorganize the state until you have ordered your own experience. Have some humility. Let your own soul guide you. And if you go back to like rule 4, isn't it? Yeah, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. If you're focused on your goals and your aim, I mean, unless your goals and aim is to be like a politician who sets, I don't know if that's correct or not. I guess it could. But basically, you have a lot of problems, and you can't just go out and criticize the world when you got your own stuff to work on. If you're busy working on your own stuff, you probably wouldn't have time to criticize the world, right? I don't know if I like the word perfect order. Perfection is really subjective, and I think what he means when he says perfect order is it's kind of like a something to strive towards, and you'll never get there, but if you spend your life striving to something, you're going to come out better on the end, and you won't be so, I guess, resentful towards the world. So I think that's why he put perfect order. Okay. Rule 7. Pursue what is meaningful, not as expedient. Now, this is one of my favorite chapters. I think Rule 7 and Rule 4 are ones that I liked. So delayed gratification ties into other rules that involve self-improvement. In order to create order, you have to take steps. You have to take steps to overcome the chaos and become familiar with that chaos, so it becomes order. You can do that. I guess you could do it quickly, depending on the chaos, but it may take a while, though. If you pursue what is meaningful, it's going to take a long time. Live by your values and live a meaningful life. Ward off nihilism. If you are disciplined and privileged, the future over the present, you can change to structure reality in your favor. Expedience, Jordan says, is the following a blind impulse. It's a short-term gain. It's narrow, selfish. It lies to get its way. It takes nothing into account. It's immature and irresponsible. Meaning is the mature replacement. Meaning emerges from the interplay between the possibilities of the world and the value structure operating with the world. If the value structure is aimed at the betterment of being, the meaning revealed will be life-sustaining. It will provide the antidote to chaos and suffering. It will make everything matter. It will make everything better. Living a meaningful life is important. Finding purpose is important. And it's not going to be found just on blind impulse and just doing what's what's in the here and now. It takes time, and you got to grow and effort, and you got to set goals and reach them, and every day you should be working on yourself to whatever goal you set. But it's got to be value driven. If it's not driven by your values, it won't be meaningful to you. So make sure it's something that you value. All right. So next up, Rule 8: tell the truth, or at least don't lie. So here's the lie rule here. Truth and lies help us manipulate the world. Lie is about who we are and how we present ourselves to the world. It hides the ugly truth of being. Stop lying. Allow a person to accept who we are. We develop an aim for the future and start living. Jordan says you must make friends, therefore, with what you don't know instead of what you know. So sometimes we lie, and what we don't know, of course, is the chaos, right? We got to make friends with the chaos in order for us to get to know it. And once we get to know it, we can figure out how to deal with it, and then it becomes order. If we lie and hide from the chaos, and avoid it, we'll always be there. So don't lie. Just tell the truth. I'm trying to think of an example. Like if I lie to my boss, why I'm late every day, maybe I'd say, it's traffic or something like that. But really it's just hating coming in, I just hate the job. I don't want to say that because I don't want to get fired, right? So I just lie. But if you tell the truth and tell them, how, I'm really finding it hard to come in, how does that manipulate the boss? Is he going to say, well, maybe you should find another job, or hey, maybe there's a counselor you could talk to, or hey, I used to feel that way, but I done this. If you lie about it, and kind of keep it hidden, it's just going to keep eating at you. So tell the truth. Don't lie. I think that's very helpful. Now, I wouldn't go and tell your boss everything. So be careful with that one. I think it takes some thinking when you want to use this rule. Let's see here. You must make friends, therefore, with what you don't know instead of what you know. Okay. Jordan says here, it's our responsibility to see what is before our eyes courageously and to learn from it, even if it seems horrible. Even if the horror of seeing it damages our consciousness and half blinds us. The act of seeing it particularly important when it challenges what we know and rely on, upsetting and destabilizing us. It is the act of seeing that informs the individual and updates the state. Okay. Sometimes we have a hard time seeing our weaknesses, and we try to hide and lie about things that we're not good at, or our own faults, or sensitivities or whatever. But those make us weak, right? So if we want to make them, if we want to make them strong, I don't know. If we want to move them from like a weakness to a strength, we got to identify them and work towards making them a strength. Okay, if social skills is a weakness and you hide from it by avoiding social situations and not trying to improve yourself, you're always going to be bad in social situations. It's when you start taking responsibility for your weaknesses and saying, I want to be like the same, or what do I got to do? Maybe there's a YouTube video out there or something that can help you, or counseling, or a therapist who specializes in social phobia, But until you identify and take responsibility, that weakness is always going to be there. Okay, that was Rule 8. Rule 9. Assume the person you're listening to might know something you don't. I don't have a lot to say about this chapter, but basically, internal dialogue, thinking to figure it out for yourself using one that is simulation of you and other viewpoints. I think he wrote that in the book, but it's almost like if how sometimes you kind of have conversations in your head. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but sometimes maybe like a thought comes in and it kind of goes against your own viewpoint. I don't know. It's just kind of like entertain that idea and just kind of think it through. And hey, maybe between your own viewpoint and this new viewpoint you're thinking of, come together. Maybe it'll be the best thing. So it's not just somebody. It could be also yourself. So assume that the person you're listening to might know something you don't. Don't be set in your ways. I'd say everybody has. I don't know. I just think that most people have good ideas. I mean, I don't. I don't think I've ever really said mine are the best, or it's always going to be my way, but I always try to listen to other ideas and viewpoints, and I don't know. I think when you do that, you don't seem so cold or confrontational. It's like you can have a decent conversation with somebody when you do this. When you kind of just don't be so critical of their viewpoint and just listen to what they got to say, and maybe they know something you don't. You never know. Just assume they do. Doing that too, you could also improve your listening skills. If you think that they're saying something important, something you don't know, you may listen to what they're saying instead of just like, how sometimes when you're in an argument, you're not listening to them, but you're thinking like what you're going to say next. It'll prevent you from doing that. So assume the person you're listening to might know something you don't. Rule 10, be precise in your speech. Speech is one of the many tools that we use to navigate the world. Using I don't know, being vague, or not direct with your ideas, opinions, and thoughts. That's imprecise. Right? If your speech is not precise, your aim is off. We are off track on from our goal. We won't be able to find a solution. When things break down, what has been ignored rushes in. When things are no longer specified with precision, the walls crumble, and chaos makes its presence known. So when we do goals in therapy, the first one is specific, right? SMART goals. Specify the goal. Be very specific. That way, you know exactly what you're aiming for. If it's a general goal and vague, well, you don't really know what you're doing, and you can't really tell if you're making progress. So you want your goal to be precise, and the way to be precise is using speech to use the words to identify what you want. Let's see. Point 4, precision gives structure to chaos. It reestablishing order. If we speak carelessly and imprecisely, our destination remains unproclaimed. Jordan says here, say what you mean so that you can find out what you mean. Say what you mean so that you can find out what you mean. Okay. Act out what you say so you can find out what happens. Then pay attention. Know your errors. Articulate them. Strive to correct them. That is how you discover the meaning of your life. That will protect you from the tragedy of your life. Okay. So be precise in your speech. If you mess up, be precise on what you did wrong, so that you know what you did wrong. If somebody wrongs you, be precise in what they did. Don't just make general assumptions or use I don't want to say absolute terms like always or never, but kind of like that. Don't say, hey, never listen to me. You use exactly like what they did. Be specific, so they know what they need to do to change. But all right, yeah, be precise in your speech. Really important. It helps you get to where you want to go, and identify the problems you want to work on, or what you want other people to know. So, sometimes I feel like when I do these videos, I'm not precise in what I say, and it's hard to really come up. I think because I wing a lot of things, and I don't write things down. I should probably start writing things down in notes, because sometimes I do these videos, it's very jumbled. So I gotta work on that precision. I think when I do these videos a lot more, it's kind of like, oh, you know what I've been doing? Dang it! I'm sorry, I forgot to move that. There. I should probably do the video all over, but I won't. I'm persevering. Anyway, Rule 11: do not bother children while they are skateboarding. Establish independence. Hierarchy of status. Women value high status men. Argues against postmodernism. He says things like, but a woman should not look after a man, because she must look after children, and a man should not be a child. This means that he must not be dependent. This is one of the reasons that men have little patience for dependent men. And let us not forget, wicked women may produce dependent sons, may support and even marry dependent men, but awake and conscious women want an awake and conscious partner. He says also, if they're healthy, women don't want boys, they want men. They want someone to contend with, someone to grapple with. If they're tough, they want someone tougher. If they're smart, they want someone smarter. They desire someone who brings to the table something they can't already provide. So don't bother children while they're skateboarding is a rule set to basically letting kids make mistakes, learning from their mistakes, toughen them up. You can't baby them, because the world won't baby them. And if you have a son and you put him in a bubble and you don't let him experience his own mistakes, well, when he grows up, he may not find a valuable partner, or women may not want him because he's so dependent, And I think there's some truth to that. I think he's taught a lot about evolutionary psychology when he's talking about this. I can't remember. But he used a lot of points from, I think, David Buss, evolutionary psych, during this rule. So, but do not bother children while they're skateboarding. And there's a reason for that, right? That's the very surface level advice, and then deep into the depth throughout the chapter. Yeah, I did like that. I do like how deep he goes, just in the why that's important, and he pulls from different disciplines, and it's really good. I thought it was a really good book. Last one is Pet a Cat when you encounter one on the street. If you pay careful attention, even on a bad day, you may be fortunate enough to be confronted with small opportunities of just this sort. Enjoy life as it comes. Enjoy life by the minute. Take advantage of those small opportunities because you don't know what's around the corner. You may enjoy petting a cat 1 minute, and the next minute, a bus runs you over and you're paralyzed or something like that. So that's kind of extreme, but I think it's just, especially as you age, I notice this, I'm doing this more, is I enjoy the small things and enjoying the here and now and just trying to make the best of it. It's really important, and it kind of helps you may make you grateful too, just for your life and for those small things, So pet a cat when you encounter one, or a dog. I think he says a dog too, or something, just anything. Okay, is this book helpful? So I was thinking about who would this benefit, and most women buy self-help books. So I was kind of thinking, like, if Rachel walks into Barnes and Nobles and she's like, I really want a self-help book to kind of get me through this chaos, right? 12 Rules for Life. That looks interesting. Would that be helpful for Rachel? I was trying to think about that because I don't know if she would get lost in the complexities of it and how he describes, why these simple advice is important, and it kind of goes into like a lot of different. He just pulls from different disciplines, and I don't know if somebody, just a casual reader who's looking for help, I don't know if they would want to read all that and go down into that depth with him on why that's important. And someone who wants help, most of the time they want to be basically told what to do, and he does do that, but a lot of I don't read a lot of self-help books, mainly because I don't have a lot of time in the day, and there's a lot more books I want to read, and I just don't really read self-help books. But I just wonder if it would be helpful, if it'd be something that they give up on easily. What's the next one? Who would benefit from reading this book? If you want this book to benefit you, I would almost make like take 3 rules and just try to live by those rules for a month or something like that, and just be like, it's take those small steps to get to that rule. If it's tell the truth, at least don't lie. Okay, I'm going to tell the truth throughout the month, and if that's something maybe I have a hard time with, maybe I have a hard time telling the truth or being truthful with myself and with others. That's something you want to work on. I think, like I said, that everyone's gonna get something from this book, and you just gotta kind of find what chapter maybe speaks to you the most. I really like chapter 4 and chapter 7, I think, or rule 7. Yeah, 7. Pursue what is meaningful, and then compare yourself to who you were. I think it can be helpful. The advice he gives you it's pretty, I don't want to say universal, but if you look at like a lot of different other theories, maybe like Erickson with his ego identity, how to build the ego identity. There's a lot of his theories, a lot of his advice comes from those theories. So it's definitely based on previous like scientific knowledge on what works as far as developing and being successful in life. And he tells you like a lot of like where this stuff comes from and why it's important. So I think you definitely could benefit from this book if you read it. And I just don't know if you could do 12 rules. I don't know if that'd be too much for someone to to wake up the next morning and I'm going to live by these 12 rules today. I don't know if that'd be too much. Okay. So I think you could benefit. Just I would take it slow. So, all right. So that's all I got. That was kind of my book review. I liked it. I don't think he deserves the hate he got from a lot of the internet people. I don't see anything in there that's I don't know extreme or anything like that. It's a book that's written to help people. I don't see that it not helping people if you do apply those rules to your life. There is really no way it wouldn't help. Certainly wouldn't not help, so yeah, I listened to some of his stuff on YouTube and then some of his podcast, and I think he thoroughly enjoys reading, not reading, but well, he probably does like to read, but figuring out like what conscious is, where it comes from, behavior-wise. Like, he's very passionate about psychology, and it comes out in his work. And so I think he's not some type of I don't know, pop psychologist just coming out and I don't know, like a bunch of those like health gurus or something like that. I'm trying to think of the guy who's popular, and I can't think of him. But I thought he was really genuine. I think his work is really well thought out, based on a lot of old work. His references are all scientific backed. So I don't know. I would recommend it. It's just I don't know if it would. I don't know how much it would help if you're like depressed. It's not very specific as far as symptomology. If you're depressed and you're having a hard time, I don't know, finding joy in life, what rule would apply to that? And of course, let's say, well, definitely two, right? Treating yourself better, taking better care of yourself, making it a rule. Compare yourself to you were yesterday. Getting out of a major depression takes small steps. Yesterday you laid around all day and did not even do any hygiene. Well, tomorrow you're going to do one hygiene. So it's still small steps. So 4 would apply. Pursue what's meaningful would help. Maybe identifying your values, where you want to go. So it's if you're looking for a self-help book to deal with certain symptoms, you might have a hard time with this one, because you wouldn't know what applies to what. So even though some of those rules can be applied to a lot of different symptoms or diagnoses, but it's just you don't know which ones. It's not specific. So yeah, I liked it. I don't know if I would tell people to go get it. He seems to have a huge fan base. Maybe he writes it for his fans. So I don't know. I don't like I don't like telling people to go buy things that I don't know if it would benefit you. I don't know. I liked reading it. If you like Jordan Peterson, maybe you like his podcast or videos on YouTube, I would pick it up and read it. You'd really like it. He goes into a lot of depth, and you see where he gets his material from the videos from that book, and then I think it Maps and Meaning, which I haven't read, but he gets a lot from there. So pick it up if you're interested. If you like Jordan's work, if you like his videos or online stuff, you'd like his book. So. But that's all I got. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If I got something wrong, maybe I interpreted one of the rules wrong, or I missed something big, let me know. This book it goes really deep and complex stuff, and I only have so much stuff, so much stuff to put on a slide. And I don't want to be here for 2 hours doing a book review, so I was pretty limited on what I wanted to say. Some things that I wanted to say, I forgot. I watch these videos and I'm always like, dang, I forgot to say that. And I don't know how to edit, as you can tell. I don't know how to edit these videos, but let me know. Give me a like too. Subscribe. I think I'm up to 30 subscribers, so I hit my mark for the year. But I'd always accept more. So please subscribe. Give me a like, give me a comment. I appreciate it. You have yourself a good night, and thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it.